more, and I am back to talk about the policies with the Texas Annual Conference of the United Methodist denomination. The Texas Annual Conference is a large multi-billion-dollar administration that is located in downtown Houston on Main Street. And they are over every United Methodist congregation within the Houston area and Harris County and surrounding rural areas. And at one time before the split with the United Methodist and the Global Methodist, the Texas Annual Conference was at one time one of the largest administrations of its kind nationally. It isn't now. So I wanted to talk about the reason why I want to talk about the policies. I'm doing it from the perspective of a survivor of sexual assault. My father, John Chester Dowden, was employed by the Texas Annual Conference of the United Methodist denomination in Houston, Texas. He passed away in 2012. My mother passed away in 2018. In 2017, I obtained a recorded conversation where my mother admitted to drugging me with codeine, a narcotic, so that my father could sexually assault me. And my father had been employed with the Texas Annual Conference of the United Methodist denomination. Now, when my mother drugged me so that my father could sexually assault me, those events took place before my father, just before my father, like a year before my father became employed under the Texas Annual Conference administration in Houston. At the time, he was employed under the Northwest Texas Conference in the Panhandle. And I think they had their annual conference in Midland. I don't know what it's called now since the split with the United Methodist and the Global Methodist. I consulted with an attorney named Harrison Fisher, who told me, he warned me that the Texas Annual Conference would retaliate. And especially if he went to the media, the Texas Annual Conference would tell the media and the public and the family court system that I was mentally ill. He also said that the Texas Annual Conference would assist my ex-husband, Carl Edward Anthony, in getting our sons away from me. They would retaliate in this manner through the family court system. So I continued to speak out. I was ordered supervised visitation through the family court system, and I had to visit my kids at a United Methodist Church at St. Stephen's United Methodist Church in Houston, Texas, that is under the Texas Annual Conference administration, which is the same administration that employed my father, John Chester Dowden, who sexually assaulted me. I was also sexually harassed during the supervised visitations at St. Stephen's United Methodist Church in Houston, Texas. Harrison Fisher also leaked a document in my paperwork, and this document revealed another girl who filed a lawsuit against the Texas Annual Conference administration for sexual assault. Her name was Alicia Provost, and her name was Alicia Provost Whitfield. She was sexually assaulted by Kendall Graham, who was employed under the Texas Annual Conference administration, and the Texas Annual Conference administration doesn't really have a problem with rape culture. The Texas Annual Conference administration with the United Methodist denomination in Houston, Texas, actually supports rape culture because they have a history of employing sexual predators such as my father and Kendall Graham and Michael Tabb, who also murdered his wife in Troop, Texas. And there was another Methodist church that was a target of a lawsuit, and that was Pearland United Methodist Church. And the Texas Annual Conference responded with that lawsuit, saying that they wanted a jury trial and basically denying that any sexual misconduct took place, because the Texas Annual Conference doesn't want to take responsibility for any sexual misconduct that takes place within their administration. And they support rape culture because the Texas Annual Conference will retaliate against any sexual assault survivor who chooses to speak out against their administration for sexual assault by a clergy that was employed under their administration. So I'm going to continue with reading the Residency Program Handbook. My purpose in reading the Residency Program Handbook is this is from the perspective of a sexual assault survivor from a United Methodist clergy that was once employed under the Texas Annual Conference administration, who was also sexually harassed at supervised visitation at their church, St. Stephen's United Methodist Church in Houston, Texas, because it wasn't on their 2025 bingo card that a sexual assault survivor would be reading their policies on video on the internet. And this is the introduction, the Residency Program. The Residency Program is designed by the Board of Ordained Ministry to provide provisional members of the Texas Annual Conference with support and guidance that will nourish continued theological development, spiritual formation, and skill acquisition. Per the Book of Discipline, provisional members are in residency to prepare for membership in full connection in the annual conference as deacons or elders. They are on probation as to character, servant, as to character, servant leadership, and effectiveness in ministry. This segment of the journey helps to prepare provisional members for membership in full connection under the auspices of the Center for Leadership Formation. The residency program runs throughout the 2 years commissioned membership required for ordination. So what I would like to know is where is the theological development in the support of rape culture within their practice of retaliating against any sexual assault survivors from clergy that are employed under the Texas Annual Conference administration. The residency program has 3 broad goals: extending theological education by using covenant groups and mentoring to support the practice and work of provisional ministry as servant leaders. Contemplating the grounding of ordained ministry, understanding covenant ministry in the life of the conference. Okay. I was thinking if there was another question I wanted to ask. All right. So, yes. All right. I would love to know from Bishop Cynthia Harvey, where is the theological development in the Texas Annual Conference within your practice of retaliating against sexual assault survivors by supporting rape culture and retaliating against sexual assault survivors who speak out against your administration for surviving sexual assault from clergy that your administration has employed. The philosophy of the residency program. This is page 4. We are accountable to one another as a covenant community. Isn't that interesting? So you're accountable to each other within a culture of sexual harassment and rape by clergy against young women. But you're not accountable to the women who've been raped by clergy employed under your administration that you have retaliated against for speaking out against your administration. Each provisional member is preparing for ordination into an order so that the benefits of life within this order and the larger church may be realized. Every effort shall be made to develop the holy habits of the disciplined life of mutual accountability through peer groups, mentoring, and the practice of spiritual disciplines, including daily prayer, meditation, Bible readings, and regular retreats. Through participation in a retreat, in an ongoing covenant group mentored by an experienced elder or deacon, and in other activities determined in the growth plan, participants will be supported in meeting the requirements for admission to his or her specific order as specified in the Book of Discipline and by the Conference Board of Ordained Ministry. Because the church deserves leaders committed to the highest ideals of the Christian life and excellence in leadership, the residency program provides support, coaching, and training for all those seeking ordination. How long do people participate in the residency program? The program works with those who are moving into the final 2 days of the ordination process to provide growth and support so that God may cultivate their effectiveness of ordained ministry. Often, this is at the time of graduation from seminary, but it may begin at another time for reasons as specified by the Conference Board of Ordained Ministry. What I would like to know is how successful has the Texas Annual Conference been in looking for more victims through the supervised visitation process for their rape culture